boy and the elephant that liked fireworks. Alex was a young boy that loved the circus and the zoo. Yeah, the zoo. And so he would go to the zoo every chance he could. And he would get to meet all the animals, but also the caretakers. It was then one day when Alex was about 9 years old that a caretaker recognized him. "Hey, you come here very often," she said, "right?" "Yes, I do," said Alex. "Hey, would you like a secret tour of the elephants?" And Alex said, "Would I? Of course, I'd love that. All right, follow me." And she took him to some secret place to meet Johnny, the baby elephant that had just been born in the zoo. This is Johnny. Johnny, this is Alex. Johnny loves lettuce. "Alex, here's a bucket of lettuce. You can feed him." And that's how Alex started becoming friends with Johnny. After coming many times, sometimes Alex would bring carrots. Sometimes he would feed him the lettuce or some other vegetables from the zoo. But Alex would tell stories to Johnny. And then Alex started noticing that Johnny could understand him. And as much as he tried to explain that to the caretaker, nobody would believe him. But Alex started having conversations with Johnny. It was one of those mind tricks that Alex does when he goes into silence and he can read the mind of his friends. Well, Johnny the elephant was one of Alex's friends. And I don't know how he did it, but he could talk to Johnny the elephant. Turns out that Johnny the elephant, after a while of being in the zoo, figured out that there were certain things known as fireworks. And elephants are very curious. So he wanted to see what a firework could be. So, with permission of the caretaker, Alex once brought a pen and paper and drew the best depiction of a firework that he could and explained everything to Johnny. Johnny was fascinated. "You mean to tell me that these things can fly off into the sky?" Alex said, "Yes. In fact, I have been doing that with my dad very often lately. He got me so many of those things. They're a lot of fun." Johnny said, "I bet they are. One day I would like to get on one of those and go into space." Alex was laughing so much. "Oh no, Johnny, I don't think that's possible. Those things can barely carry their own weight," said Alex. "Oh, you will wait and see. One day I will hop on a rocket and go into space." Alex and Johnny were big friends. And they remained friends for most of Alex's childhood. Until one day, Alex had to make a tough decision. He was going to study how to make spaceships. But the place where he had to go to study that was a little bit far away. So he was not going to see Johnny for a little while. Whoa, sorry. Close your eyes. So, Alex went to Johnny and said, "I have something tough to tell you, Johnny. I'm going to be leaving soon. I need to go study how to do things that I like. I'm a grown-up kid now, and I have things that I need to do, and they're far away from here." Johnny said, "No more Alex?" And Alex said, "Yes, Johnny, but it'll be a while until I can come back. But promise you won't forget me." And Johnny said, "Never. That's impossible. Would you forget me?" And Alex said, "Nope, not possible. You're my friend." "Deal then," said Johnny. And they parted ways. Alex was half sad but also very happy. Elephants live a long time, 60, 70 years, sometimes even more. So Alex knew he would get to see Johnny again. No problem there. But life happened. Alex studied abroad and became a really good rocket builder and spaceship builder. He was hired by a company far away from where Johnny lived, where he met an amazing girl, and they loved each other, and they got married, and they even had a kid. A long, long time had passed when one day someone approached Alex with a proposition. Technology had advanced far enough that someone wanted to create a colony in Mars. Humans had already been to Mars many times, but there wasn't much life in there. So they wanted to take different species of animal. And they started by taking some animals that were easier, like some bacteria, some worms, maybe some insects. But then they started graduating to bigger things. Of course, they brought plants and seeds and all sorts of vegetables. But when the ecosystem was able to support it, they started needing bigger and bigger animals. And Alex was thrilled about this project. And so he started coordinating and building the special types of spaceships to bring the different types of animals. Until one day, about a year and a half into that project, Alex's secretary came to his office with a list of the spaceships he needed to build for the next types of animals. And among those were a dozen elephants. And then he remembered about Johnny, his friend. Of course, it's been so long. I wonder what he's up to. And so he asked for permission to take a vacation so he could go visit his friend Johnny back at the zoo in Tennessee. And of course, he was granted a vacation, especially with the excuse that because he needed to send elephants to Mars, he needed to do some research project. Truth is, he just wanted to visit his friend. It was the most beautiful reunion ever, almost as if Alex had never left. Johnny and Alex joked, and they remembered even how to speak together. Of course, the zookeepers were amused at Alex pretending to speak to an elephant, but Alex knew that he was actually speaking to Johnny. And Johnny was responding. "Hey," said Johnny, "do you remember that thing about me wanting to go into a firework?" "Yes," said Alex. "Well, since we're speaking with the mind and you've been telling me all about what you do, I realized that you need to send some elephants in something that looks a lot like a giant firework." "Yes," said Alex. "Well, I'd love to volunteer." "That's a wonderful idea," said Alex. "Yes, I'd like to meet some more elephants, because you said that there was going to be 12 elephants that need to go into space. So I'd like to be one of those 12 and make more friends." "All right, let me see if we can arrange this, but I think I can make some phone calls," said Alex. "I'll come back to you as soon as I have an answer." "All right," said Johnny the elephant. And with that, they parted ways. Alex went back to his family and spoke to this about this with his wife, which was the head of the research and science project for the Mars colony. "I have a favor to ask you," said Alex. "It's gonna sound weird, but there's an elephant that I think would be great for your trip to Mars." "Oh, really?" said Alex's wife. "Well, tell me all about it." And so Alex told her all about Johnny, and she thought it was a strange thing, but why not? Johnny seemed like a great candidate. So yeah, they contacted the zoo and they agreed. The zoo thought that it would be a great experience to claim that one of their elephants was going into space. It would boost people visiting Johnny before he left. So they're all for selling tickets. So they thought, yeah, absolutely. We're thrilled to be chosen for this honor of sending one of our elephants to colonize Mars. And in exchange, the company that was doing this sent a robot that looked like Johnny so that the kids could continue to see what the elephant that went into space looked like, which was going to be also a really cool attraction. And so it was arranged. And the day that Johnny stepped out of the zoo, he was a little nervous, but Alex was there to greet him and to go with him into the airplane that would take him all the way to the launch station. And guess who was flying that airplane? It was Amy. It was one of her cargo ships. And so off they went, and Johnny boarded the rocket, and his dream came true. He was blasted into space, into a giant firework, and ended up happy living a life of lots of friends and comfort in the new plains of Mars. And that's the story of the elephant that loves fireworks and his best friend Alex. The end.